This life is also kind of dreamlike. This is also a dream we're dreaming. Like if this is a dream, why choose the nightmare? Yeah, but we are also responsible of every single day creating the best experience we can for ourselves. So choosing like I'm just going to go to the restaurant and I'm going to order my favorite thing and maybe that's enough and maybe that's healing and and for the day that was a good day.
Welcome to Empaths Anonymous,
a space for dreamers, healers, and feelers navigating the fine line between putting yourself first and holding space for others.
If you struggle with balancing your needs while still supporting your tribe, then you're in the right place.
Welcome to the support group. Hello, and welcome back to Empaths Anonymous podcast. I'm Crystina.
I'm Danie.
And today we have a really exciting episode about dreams.
Yes, girl.
The dream world, dream state. We are fully invested and curious about dreams, as we are about a lot of things. But it's been something we've been wanting to talk about for a while.
It's been in the list.
It has, yeah.
Of things
We're
to
always
discuss.
telling each other our dreams, and going back to like being a young child, I've always had very vivid dreams, like future telling dreams and crazy alternate reality dreams. So it was really cool to learn about dreams and like what you can glean from them.
But glean from dreams.
Glean from dreams.
I've been the same, not necessarily in the future telling aspect or premonition aspect, but always very lucid, vivid, like weird, like out of the box type shit.
Yeah.
Almost like watching yourself in a movie. That's how a lot of my dreams have felt. And also being really interested in dream interpretation.
Yes.
I think I was maybe as young as 8 or 9 when I made my mom, or someone bought me, maybe it was my grandma, can't remember now. They bought me a dream interpretation book.
Ooh, that's cool.
An A through Z.
Ooh.
Kind of like dream dictionary.
Dreams A through Z.
Yeah.
Love that.
I know.
Before we get into the episode, though, what is in your cup, girlfriend?
Today, ladies and gents, she's, and theys, we're hydrating. We're just keeping it simple. Unfortunately, this is my first awala of the day. And usually by this time, I'm about 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
So I have some catching up to do. I should have put salt in here, but I didn't. I need to put a little sea salt action. That's my physical cup. In my cup of life, am I allowed to rant?
You can do whatever you want. Okay. It's our podcast.
It's our podcast. I'm going to rant. I try not to rant as much, but I think our feelers will be able to resonate with this.
Yeah.
I was in a group project. Okay? And so it brought up a lot of feelings that I have opened up to feeling and have experienced since my session, my spinal energetics session with Shantini Moore. Please listen to that episode if you haven't. It's so good. And the group project just brought out a new type of rage in me that I didn't know I had. It was me and another woman who I think probably saved me from going off on these little girls, because I have to remember that they're young. Several times. She talked me off the ledge many times, and I appreciate her very much for that, because it was
shout out
for my benefit and for the little girls. But don't do that shit to me ever again. I'm a Capricorn, so if it's been 48 to 72 hours of being in a group project and no one has taken the lead, who do you think is gonna fucking do it? It's me, because it's my grade too, and it's my education too. And this, if I don't pass this class, I cannot graduate. So imagine what kind of fool would I look like if I let someone sabotage.
Right.
Oh, because I didn't want to take control of the group. And I tried really hard. You guys, that was really hard for me to not say anything for 72 hours. I was like, hey, it's me. I'm in the group. Woohoo. And we all introduced ourselves.
Right.
And nothing.
Crickets.
Not until the day that the very first thing was due. It was a research paper group project. Just to put it in
Which I just feel like is absolutely criminal to make people do in a group in undergrad. Like, we are full on adults and you're making us do a group project on research papers. Like, I'm sorry.
I would understand it more actually in grad school, because you're probably more in a cohort.
Right.
You're probably figuring things out together. You care equally.
Yeah.
When you're talking about an intro class, even though it requires a prereq, you're still talking about an intro class.
Right.
And people just don't give a shit. And I get that. I was that person once.
Right.
But also I didn't have to do a lot of group projects. And if I did, I would communicate and be like, hey, I'm not going to be a good team member. It was few and far between that even occur. But yeah, just a lot of, speaking of how I'm showing up emotionally, angry. It's that among other things. I think obviously the current state of the world, you turn left, you turn right, you look up, you look down. The United States seems to be
what's on the list of things we can't eat or buy or drink today? Oh my
God, actually everything. Like trying to plan ahead and figure out how to like shop small and shop correct and protect people who are losing their rights and people going missing. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not just the little things like the day-to-day mundane group projects that are bogging me down. It's like a bigger
collective grief and rage.
Collective grief. Thank you so much. Exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry.
You said it. No, perfect. I wouldn't have said it as eloquently because noggins turned off. But that's pretty much it. Anger. And because I mentioned Shantani, she encourages an open line of communication. Text me anytime. Ask me anything. And so I think I actually should do that because it's been a couple of weeks now. And it's kind of like this common thing where if I've opened up myself to experience anger and I said yes to it. And so the universe is like, okay, girl, we're going to throw some things at you.
Right. And we're going to work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because once you kind of open the floodgate up to something, a concept that you're moving through, an emotion you're allowing yourself to process, it's like it's not only anger for the group project, anger for what's going on in the world. It's like probably 30 years of anger that you have not allowed yourself to feel.
Yes.
Right.
Very much that.
I feel you.
Yeah, so I'm just trying not to pop off left and right. And it's really hard because I have like a little bit of a mouth on me, if you can't tell. I'll say some shit and it will not be nice. So it's better for me to just be quiet.
Yeah, that's one thing, like even when we were younger, like early 20s, that I like noticed about you. Like you will not say something for a long time, but if somebody forces you to say something, it's not going to be what they want to hear. It's not going to be in the way that they want to hear. It's going to be in the way that you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not here to warn a bitch, but...
But try me.
I'm not here to make any threats. But.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's in your cup, sister?
I finished my second coffee for the day. It was cold. It was a Phil's K-Cup with some Elmhurst, new creamer alert. Elmhurst, I think it's cashew and oat blend. It was like creme brulee. Not my normal layered. It was sold out at the grocery store because I don't know which of you bitches be selling that shit out at the Temecula Sprouts. But every time I've gone to Sprouts the last 3 times, it has... no, I got it the time before. But
2 times.
Periodically over the last like couple of months when I'd go to Sprouts, it was always sold out. So
it's pretty rare that it's sold out completely.
Completely, girl. Yeah, not even the sweet and creamy was on the shelf. The guy was like, well, we have the powdered version. I'm like, I don't want that.
Listen here, Tyler. If I wanted that, I would be in the dry aisle.
Right.
I'm not. I'm in the cold section.
Right. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about.
It's not the same.
You see me in here every single week getting the same shit. Yeah. Like I am a creature of habit at the grocery store.
Don't you know me by now? I'm a regular.
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, the people were talking to me, they like were treating me like I was an employee. Meanwhile, you guys, Mondays are like my decompress reset day. So it's like I don't do my makeup. I was barely on my phone yesterday. I was getting shit done. I cleaned my room. I did laundry. And then I went to Sprouts. I went on a walk. And some lady was asking me questions about berries. And I'm literally in sweatpants and like an old ratty t-shirt. I'm like, do I look like a Sprouts employee to you?
Yeah. It's like I know a thing or two about a thing or two, but I got my AirPods and I'm not trying to talk to you.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, I digress. So, apparently, we both are like letting out some of our anger today.
It's kind of that era.
But I'm sipping on water, and I wanted to show you guys my new water bottle. Ugh.
Can you see that? Hold on.
It is. I think it's because it's silver. If you're watching on the video right now, which shouts out, you can now watch every week or every episode, I should say, on Spotify as well.
Oh, yeah.
It is a shout out to my town, my city, Las Vegas. It's Mothership Coffee Roasters, and it is female and Latina owned. And now when I went, she told me she has like 6 or 7 locations now.
What?
I'm like, girl, you want a franchise in California?
Yeah, come out here.
I don't have the money to do that, but I could find an angel investor.
Yeah, well, I mean, she probably knows plenty of people
Right.
who
So
have money.
if you guys are ever in Vegas and you want some good ass coffee that is woman owned and Latina owned, go to Mothership Coffee Roasters. But in my life/emotional cup, I have been feeling a lot better since we have left the darkness, the cold, cold dark of January and February. And I've noticed, maybe I've just become aware of it the last, few years, but Aquarius season in particular is always really tough for me. The last 3 years I've noticed this. So it's like January, February for me this year. I was really worried that I was like slipping into a depression because it was getting like, it was really hard for me to get out of bed in the morning. I was always so tired and just feeling very bogged down and overwhelmed. And I felt like I couldn't really get anything done and my mind was always in 1,000 places. Could also be my mental health diagnoses, but as soon as the day that we enter Pisces season, I just feel like this big sigh of relief. I feel like, is it Snow White or Sleeping Beauty when she wakes up and she's like, ah,
I think it is Snow White.
That's how I feel. As soon as we enter Pisces season, I'm like, okay, all is right in the world.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling a lot better. I'm really prioritizing my goal for the year of reconnecting to my spiritual practices, just because I feel like mid to late last year I was just feeling very disconnected from that. And I'm trying to find new ways to connect to my spirituality as well as just getting back into my daily practice, which I'm very proud of myself because for the last week I have been waking up and at least doing something in the morning for my spiritual and mental self, which is great. So that's where I'm checking in, feeling a lot better than I was the first couple months of the year.
And obviously, by the time you hear this, it will be tomorrow. That is our astrological new year.
Yes.
So happy new year. Happy post-hibernation season. We hope you rested as much as you possibly could, especially if you were a woman of color, especially if you were a Black woman. Yeah. And we're looking forward to sunshine and renewals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if you do follow the lunar and astrological calendar, like now is when it's like actually go time, bitch.
Yeah.
Like you don't really want to start anything big in January and February, especially if like there's some kind of retrograde going on, which for a while we were in several at the same time.
That was a lot. I lost track.
Right. But welcome to the new year. Do you have any announcements?
I do. And I wish I had a little drum roll sound effect. I wish I had a little soundboard. But this past weekend, my brother and his girlfriend became not that. They are fiancés. So congrats to the cuties. Woo! They went to Palm Springs, I think it was, for my brother's little birthday trip situation. We had seen them
30th.
30th.
At that, not even little.
It was a big 3-0.
Yes.
I say little because he likes to keep things small and intimate.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to celebrate little. He didn't even want people to sing to him at the restaurant.
But they did anyway.
But they did anyway. With a live pianist. So not only
to
did
the
they
entire
do it,
restaurant.
To the entire restaurant. And so we had seen them on Friday for his birthday dinner. And then I said, we're going to just go hang out, blah, blah, blah. This bitch knew.
I had a premonition.
But she had a premonition and forgot to share it with me when we were driving back home, that she thought something was like funny about him constantly mentioning
the views.
I didn't even pay any attention to it at all. It's like when I'm anywhere with my baby, it's just I got to make sure she's just not running into the kitchen and the restaurant. You know what I mean? Like she's that type of person. She's just going to explore.
And she gets so much attention in public.
Yes.
Adoration.
Yeah. I like the pianist like literally sang a song he sang and played Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
He was calling her out by name. I'm like, this girl is just, it's like Leo Moon. all over the place, girl.
She's gonna attract the spotlight. Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. That is the fun news for this last weekend. So
Yay.
Congratulations to my little lovebirds. I love you guys so much.
Congrats, Adrian and Molly. Molly, we know you listen, so we love you. And I'm not even really in the family, but I'm like, welcome to the family. I'm like, wait, Christina, this isn't your family.
Fucking lie. That's crazy.
I know, but you know what I mean. Biologically, no.
Biologically, blood sisters. No. But relationally, absolutely, yes.
Yes. And I'm so excited because I just love love.
Yeah, it's like, listen, I don't fuck with weddings, really. I'll go.
She doesn't.
But it's like, that's a whole episode.
But
this wedding,
yeah,
I fuck with this wedding.
I have a counter question.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a wedding that you feel like at your standards was done well?
Nah.
And that's probably why you don't fuck with weddings.
Yeah.
I've been to
I have high standards.
Right. I've been to a few weddings where I walked away like, wow, not only was that like well organized and done, but it was also like very heartfelt and like really represented the couple. Mm-hmm. That's when I like going to weddings. I don't like weddings when it's a fucking circus. And that's most of your experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's all over. It's like from the planning or lack thereof to the last minute stuff, to the things that feel really confusing, to the things that feel really insincere and disgenuine. Is that a word I'm making up? Just not genuine at all, especially when it comes to like the actual relationship. Like, I'm interested in the marriage. Like, I'm interested in the connection, the romance.
Yes.
And if I feel like that's missing, I'm like, what are we all doing here?
Right.
You know? And unfortunately, I've had more than one experience that has been like that. And it just leaves me confused.
Right. Well, a lot of people like get married for the wrong reasons, or they get married like not in great timing, so they rush it, or you know, they are planning a wedding that's bigger than what their finances allow, and so
all of the above.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I understand that.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, it's not so much as a announcement as a request and an opening of the EA forums, because we want to celebrate our birthday with you guys. Obviously, this is a group. It's a community. It's not just about us. And so in saying so, we want to know what you would like to see or hear for our birthday episode. We are thinking of maybe like approaching like a big guest. Is there somebody that you guys would love to hear from? Is there a topic that you would love for us to talk about? Sky's the limit. Just put all the ideas out there, and then we'll do what we can. But we wanted to include you guys in the conversation, because we do have a couple little ideas, but I want to hear about your ideas too, if you have them. So that is obviously coming up in May. May 15th is like the official day, but I think it, as far as the podcast release day, falls on the 14th this year.
I think so.
So you have a few weeks, but sound off. Do it in the Spotify comments, YouTube comments, Instagram, TikTok, literally wherever. We would love to hear from you.
This goes down in the DMs.
In the
I don't know why
DMs.
this came in my mind. Okay.
But without further ado, let's get into our chat with Miss Claudia Barfoot. Welcome back to Empaths Anonymous podcast. In this week's EA meeting, we are joined by the lovely Claudia Barfoot, an integrative mental health specialist with a doctor's degree in psychoanalytic clinical practice and a master's in mental health and wellness. She is also an ancestral healing practitioner, integrating indigenous cosmologies and wisdom into her practice. Claudia strongly believes personal growth and healing is an active practice of self-discovery, openness to the paradoxes of life, curiosity, compassion, and care for all our relations, humans, and otherwise. Welcome to the podcast, Claudia.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
We're happy to have you. We're so excited to get into the world of dreams.
Yeah, we love that you have a background in education, but this marriage of so many different modalities where you can kind of scientifically back up some of the indigenous practices that have been around for centuries. But before we get into it, because we have so many questions about dreams, before we get into it, we do always ask every single one of our guests, what is in your cup? So what are you physically drinking on? And then what is in your cup of life? How are you showing up here today?
In my cup, there's chai. That's what I'm drinking. A little bit of spices to warm the heart. And what's in my cup? I think there's a mix of course, excitement to be here. It's always a joy to talk about something that is fascinating to me. But I guess there's always this underlying at the same time of kind of the grief for the world and what's going on these days. I think I'm holding both in my cup: the excitement, the joy, there's always good things happening, but at the same time, there's worrying. There's things that worry the heart and people around me. So yeah.
Yes, we talk about that a lot, especially here the last few weeks of the just duality of everything. How two things can
Yeah.
be true at once, and we can have joyful moments and joyful experiences while still acknowledging that not everyone is having those experiences, and kind of making sure that we're attuned to everything that's happening around us as
Yeah.
well. So we love that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, so as we said before, we're talking all about dreams this episode. So let's dive into it. We want to know, first of all, how did you get into dream work? Is it something you were always interested in, or did it kind of develop as you got older and into your expertise?
I think it developed, but the more that I look back, I think it's also part of culture, or at least my family culture. I think it's the whole. I mean, I'm Mexican originally, so I think the culture of Day of the Dead, the idea that you can communicate, right, with your ancestors, it's a thing. So I remember dreams, like after somebody passed in my family, there was always this sense of waiting for any family member to tell you, I had a dream of this person. And always being open to listening. Okay, what's going on with them? Are they okay? Right. So that thing was always open and there, I think. But then when I got interested in psychology and then in psychoanalysis, part of being in psychoanalysis is analyzing and studying your dreams. So it became my practice, my at least 3 times a week practice of centering my own personal exploration through my dreams. So I think that became the center for a very, very long time. And then I kind of started being more interested in the ancestral ways of like, well, dreams have been around forever. Like I want to know more about how dreams have been used,
Yeah.
understood, and it just became like to me, it's a fascinating world that we don't have usually control of. And I think that's very awesome also, that at least at some point we just relinquish control and something creative happens. So yeah, I'm fascinated by them. It started kind of like a family thing, then a professional thing, and now it's more, I think it goes beyond now. It's more about consciousness, it's more about spirituality, it's more about what is true and what's real, really.
Right.
Yeah. We talk about that connectedness a lot. And then a lot of the time, because we are under the same roof at this moment in time, we will both have very interesting dreams on the same nights, or we'll remember. And so we'll wake up in the morning and she'll say something like, oh my gosh, girl, my dreams last night, or I had some crazy things going on. And I'll be like, me too. So it does kind of speak to this otherworldliness or like separate realms. And so there's not really a way to go around it being part of different consciousness. So it really leads into our next question, which is, do our dreams equate to subconscious truths? So how can we better interpret those dreams? Like when her and I are having those crazy dreams, kind of, they not necessarily similar, but they're in the same kind of time frame. How can we interpret them so that we can grow through what they're trying to teach us or tell us?
Okay. So first I'm going to explain something about dreams, and then I'm going to give you a few tips on how to kind of work with them.
Please.
Because the more years I dedicate to dreams, I think I kind of, in my own personal experience also, you end up on feeling, it's really a feeling, it kind of that helps you understand that each dream is different. Some of them are more related to your own conscious and your own things, and how you are balancing the things you feel you're missing. Other dreams have a different quality and they feel almost like just an experience. Like I just had an experience. It had nothing to do with my unconscious or my own issues. It was just a different experience. You experiencing something different. There's other dreams that sometimes it feels to me that they are almost like you enter a little tiny different world. Almost like if the dream were like a specific little tiny world that you were able to visit, or a story. So I think that dreams have different qualities. Sometimes I like to think of them as, if you think about the solar system, it's almost like it's you. There's different types of dreams that are, orbiting around, but each of them come from a different orbit. And you relate to them or can relate to them in a different way. Mm-hmm. There's dreams that I don't analyze or don't think about. I take them and I'm like, oh, that's a really cool experience. Mm-hmm. And there's other ones that I feel, okay, this is telling me something, so I need to stop and kind of think about it. I would say the easiest way of doing it is first just stay with the emotion. The emotion is the only thing that comes through kind of untouched. It's basically that feeling, it's there. Like it's real, it's something that maybe it relates to whatever is happening in your life, or it's a feeling that you're avoiding and your dream just, allows you to feel it. So stay with the emotion. And because you can get lost sometimes with the stories, they can be so weird at times and intricate that it's hard sometimes to understand what was that about. So stay with the feeling. Another tip that I really like is try to find a title to the dream. Imagine the dream as a book. Give it a title. Because that's going to kind of force you to distill the message that you actually want to convey, like your other you is trying to show you. So stay basically with the emotion, give it a title, and try to feel, it's really an embodied experience. Like, is there anything in your daily life that reminds you, or the dream is reminding you anything? A relationship, a situation that you're afraid of? Is it a way of compensating again, like something? Sometimes the mind likes to compensate. Are you giving yourself something you don't feel you have in your reality? And one is take it as you trying to find balance. And then as a reminder of, well, now maybe you need to take action to try to make that thing tangible in the here and now. So, but the emotion, I would say it's the thing. And I imagine that both of you have experiences waking from a dream with a specific emotion, and the emotion stays the whole day with you.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be like my next side question is, when that happens, like, how do you honor that? Because there's sometimes where I'll have a dream and it's a great emotion. There's sometimes where I have a dream and the emotion that lingers for the rest of the day is kind of heavy. So how do we sit with that, and what are the emotions trying to tell us?
I think one other important element about dreams is that we practice skills in dreams. Like truly they are connected to survival sometimes. So we're practicing, am I prepared to life? Am I prepared to changes? Am I prepared to whatever I'm becoming? Yeah. And I do try when I have a big dream that it's intense and I stay with the emotion, I stay with it. I don't reject it. I do feel dreams as an experience. Like I actually experience that. There's a part of myself or my mind that does not understand that wasn't real, right? So it was real. So I stay with it. I allow it to be. I basically don't push away the emotion, that's nonsense. No, I truly say well, I'm very sad. I felt I was dying in that dream. And dying, I don't know, opens up these other emotions for me. So I stay with it because I see it as the contrast of, okay, now maybe I need to pay attention, at least today and tomorrow, to my life.
Yeah.
To the fact that I'm alive and I'm enjoying it and I'm still okay, even with the sadness of whatever that dream, gave to me that night.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of put my dreams into categories, and it really just depends on my mental state, and sometimes even just what I'm consuming from a show, movie, social media. Sometimes that will influence my dream. But then I have other dreams where it's since I was very young, there's this certain world almost that I go to in my dreams, and it's the same. In my dreams, the places are familiar, and I'll even go back, several times, but it's not this world, it's not my daily life. And then I have just other dreams where it's very abstract, but the feelings are there, or there's something that represents, I have a dream with a moving truck or a semi truck. And that pops up every so often, So I started making notes of them in a journal just to see the different patterns, so that I can see maybe it's popping up in certain times of my life, or when I'm going through certain things, or even different seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's the beauty of having a dedicated journal to dreams, that sometimes you can see the patterns of, every now and then I go through this process and it shows up in different ways in my dreams, but the emotion is the same or the symbol. For me, it's maybe it's not a truck, but it's a house. There's a specific house that I have dreamed about, like different moments in my life. And I know that once I'm there, like I remember, like, oh yeah, I know this house. I know where to go. And sometimes dreams can help you track your internal changes. With that example I gave with the house, at other dreams I have found rooms that I didn't know existed, or a whole floor that I never explored. And in a way, it's announcing these other sides of yourself that you're kind of accessing now, right? Or creating or building more. And I think that's the beauty also of dreams. They truly show you how much we can change and grow. And one symbol can represent one thing at a specific moment in time, and 15 years later, it's a whole different thing. If you dream with animals, or there's a certain symbols that actually change through time.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's always been a mixture of places and people. So for a lot of my dreams, I will remember the place, and the place is often familiar, but for me personally, it's almost always drawn from real life. So it's a place I used to live, and the dreams kind of rotate which people are in those places, which has always been very interesting to me. And it's either people that are still in my life now, or a person that's there that will feel familiar, that they're supposed to be somebody, but they don't look like that person. So I always thought that was really interesting. For me, I focus a lot on, like, when I wake up, I remember, like, the place, yes, but it's like the people, like, oh, so-and-so was there, or this person was there, and that person was there. And my mom has always been very similar, but she just struggles to, I think, remember a lot of her dreams. Although here recently, she's been remembering a lot more. Whereas before, she couldn't really remember anything. And so for us, it's been the same, like the people, or like the versions or representations of certain individuals show up. So I guess that would lead into your next question, but I do often wonder, like, people and places and things like animals, are they all symbols?
Again, I guess it's hard to say, but I think the more you work with dreams, it's worth doing the exercise of exploring all the layers, right? I sometimes, if I want to work with one dream, I think, okay, I'm gonna try to, of course, stay with the feeling and all of that, but then what if I am all of it? What am I telling myself through all the characters in my dream? Even if it's family members and people that I know, what am I saying to myself? Who has more power here? Who's the helper? And in a way, it helps you understand different parts of yourself and the dynamics, because the idea is we have different sides to ourselves. And there's a dynamic. It's like we have almost like a theater inside of our minds, and they do have relationships to one another. So maybe that's the first step that I usually do. Like, okay, I want to think about it as all of it is me,
Right.
and let's see what I can find.
There's
other times when it feels so not me, then it feels very like this is other. This is something that maybe it's not mine. But when something feels like an other that is not mine, it could be my shadow. It could be a part of me that I just don't want to face. I don't want it to belong, but it's mine. So then I explore the idea of, is there something I'm rejecting about this character in my dream, and why? Maybe it feels scary, but why is it scary, really, right? And that's what I teach when I work with people and they want to change kind of their nightmare.
Yeah.
The idea of a nightmare is you need to face the fear. That's the thing. And sometimes people I work with, they do remember me in dreams, and in the moment, like, oh yeah. Claudia told me to just look back and face the thing. And when they do, the dynamic of the dream changes, and sometimes they see that this part that is chasing them, the part that they truly fear and that feels so other, that is actually a part that wants to come back. But it's been so abandoned, so neglected for so long that it appears in a very angry way.
Right.
So that's kind of the way that I do it. And at times, I would say that animals usually, I see animals as a symbol. Those are specific dreams that I think, that's a different view. That's not a human perspective. So I need to think about, if it's, I don't know, a cat. You need to see, what is this cat telling me? How do I feel sitting in front of this cat? Almost like, but instead of like going to dictionaries and trying to find the symbol and the meanings or the stories of how civilizations have, thought about cats, stay with the one that you dreamt of. That's a specific cat that appears in a specific way to tell you something specific. And it's a symbol. After you kind of explore that relationship, then you can go and read everything about that animal and see if anything else fits. But I would say certain things are symbols. I think houses are symbols in a way, and they can represent, of course, your living situation. Do you feel, is it a beautiful house or not? Do you feel, is it safe? Is it crumbling down? Is it dark? Is there light in there? Houses can represent your body. How are you taking care of your body? Yes. So there's certain, like themes or symbols in dreams that can, connect to yourself and your outside, your exterior world also.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm going to start looking at it that way, because I think a lot of times when a certain person pops up into a dream, I often think like, oh, like, is something going to happen with that person? Are they thinking of me? A lot of times, like, if we'll dream about the same person, we're like, ooh, what does that mean? Like, is this like a weird omen? So instead of kind of putting a expectation on that person, we should take that call to go more inward and think about, well, what is this trying to teach me as a shadow part or as a characteristic of this person that I need to like face and integrate? Okay, that's
And sometimes when I dream about people, certain people, that I also take the responsibility, like, okay, maybe it's just me. I'm just using them to tell myself something.
Right.
And at the same time, I am thinking of them. I am dreaming of them. So I need to give them a call and see how they're doing. Yeah, I also feel we do have those connections.
Right.
I have a connection with my best friend. It has happened not maybe just a few times in life, when she actually can feel when I'm not doing well. And she has a dream about me. And she's like, I had a dream about you and you weren't doing well. What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
So I do think that at times, maybe, I open the door to maybe we're calling each other at times when we need the other person to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, so we can kind of take these different themes or symbols to help us interpret the dream. My next question was, once we identify those different symbols or maybe that lesson, theme, pattern, then what's the next step after that? How can we kind of use these things to help us in our daily lives?
It is important to take action once you kind of understand, right? Okay. So, and by the way, the message of a dream, usually it needs to give you an aha moment. If you truly do like a dream work, it's not like, yeah, me and the same thing. I know. It needs to give you a new perspective. So eventually, if it fits the same, you haven't found the message. It needs to give you I didn't think about that before. That's kind of the key of it. With that said, like, don't overanalyze dreams. Okay, I also feel them almost like a living thing. And if you overanalyze the whole story, you leave no space for mystery, no space for the who knows. You're like, they are weird and they are awesome. They are awesome because they are weird. And I kind of feel it's part of the essence of dreams. And in actions, it's about what am I going to do with the information? And it needs to be the action that you need to take. It needs to help you have a better relationship with yourself and have a better relationship with others.
Another concept that I really wanted to dive into about your work that I thought was really interesting was how you incorporate depth psychology. Can you let our listeners know what that is?
Well, depth psychology, it's based in psychoanalysis, not only Carl Jung. Freud was part of it. And there's other people that have worked with the unconscious. But basically, it opens a space not only to your personal unconscious, but the collective unconscious. The idea of we, as groups of people, have dreams that are made to tell us something as a group. Interestingly enough, that's the way indigenous communities work with dreams. Yeah. For them, dreams are a community thing. It's not your person growth and self-discovery. It's no. We're going to wake up. We're going to share our dreams because there's a message for the community. We all need to learn from it. We all need to give each other the information we have. And there's been a few kind of stories of how other people have gathered dreams about specific moments in time or communities,
Right.
and people do have dreams that are more related to the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other day, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be interesting, but I kind of feel that my son had more like a collective dream. Sometimes they, also share their dreams, but it was the day of the election. He
Mm.
just woke up to say that in his dream he just saw the American flag uh, half buried in snow,
Oh, wow.
and he tried to go to school, and all schools were empty, almost like abandoned. And
Yeah.
to me, it just felt probably there's something personal specific to my son, but at the same
Right.
time, for me, it felt more like, who is this more collective? Is this more the ambience of the changes that are happening
Mm-hmm.
right now? Hmm. So
Yeah.
Wow.
I
And
think that psychology is more about also like there's something in the air that we all, or kind of the unconscious, the collective that we're all tapping into, that we all
Mm-hmm.
are relating to, and we sometimes have
Mm-hmm.
dreams that are for all of us. Hmm.
Right.
Right. And now we're in this age of social media where anyone can get online and share those things with a
Yeah.
larger audience. And so
Hmm.
I mean, right now my TikTok algorithm and Instagram algorithm is not people sharing their dreams, but I would love to train it to be
To
that, to
do that,
see if
yeah.
people are sharing their dreams that are more for a collective purpose, like how you're saying, and that we can, now that we have all this information, when I'm going into my dreams moving forward, I can kind of, I don't want to say like create, but in a way, I have all this new knowledge that's kind of in my subconscious. And that's, if
Hmm.
that's where I'm going when I'm dreaming, then maybe I
Hmm.
can tap into like bigger ideas or different ideas that are maybe not just about my inner work or my self work. And that's going to be
Yeah.
more so for like a community that honestly both her and I are trying to create here with the podcast. So
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
cool. Taking
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So depth psychology can also apply to your dreams, to dreams on a collective level for
Hmm.
everyone. So it also ties into your work with dream work.
Yeah. And it's also transpersonal. It's not only collective unconscious, but
Right.
there's bigger forces
Right.
that can visit you, like the
Yeah.
archetypes. There are living things or living forces that really can visit you and give you a story. Hmm.
Oh, great.
Or you can
Awesome.
encounter them. Hmm.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Well, that's really interesting. I'd love to like explore that on my own because since I was a young child, I would have dreams like that. Like I would have dreams that, you know, kind of almost like psychic or prophetic dreams. I would dream that
Mm-hmm.
something would happen and it would, or I would dream that somebody would die in a specific way and they did. And I
Mm-hmm.
was always told that that was not good. I was raised like in a Christian home. And so that was kind of hush hush. And so I was told that like, oh, well, that's like evil or an evil spirit, or like that's you shouldn't be sharing that, because I think that they just didn't know what to do with it,
Mm-hmm.
coming from such a young child saying like, oh, I had a dream that this person's going to die, and then a few months later they do. I wish that I could have been able to harness that more for collective good instead of, kind of pushing it down, because for a while I kind of abandoned, that ability because of the shame that I felt, or I was scared. And now it's kind of coming back to me a little bit more as an adult, here or there, kind of when I allow it and have the space to. But yeah, I would love to be able to explore that more on a
Mm-hmm.
personal level and a collective level.
And I truly love what you said about it has to do with capacity.
Mm.
And I think it's, first of all, it's not that it's not normal, it's human. I think it happens. We have more
Mm-hmm.
precognitions that we confess we do, I guess. And I understand we all have different capacities,
Right.
but it also matters the idea of like, do I have enough space for this right now in my life or not? Do I want to
Mm-hmm.
use it or not? How much do I want to, deepen my knowledge, or right now it's not the best time, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is, you have the freedom to choose always, how much you want to use it or not.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very true. So now that you've opened the door back up to it and you're welcoming it back in, it's just a kind of like a slow process. because you have to acknowledge that maybe mentally
Right.
you're not capable of maybe some of the downloads that you might be getting.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was working with a Reiki healer for a while, I was really able to tap back into my dreams because I felt like I had a safe container to explore them. And so I was having dreams really frequently at that time. Right now, I just feel like I have so much on my mental that they don't come through as often, or a lot of times I'm having certain types of dreams, or significant dreams, I should say, like around the moon cycles. So a new moon, a full moon, I'll have dreams more often, but on my day-to-day, not as much.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, our relationship to our dreams can change throughout time. And I think it's also okay, right? Like, let's not obsess with the journal and the understanding. Sometimes we have time, sometimes we don't. And if there's a message that's important, it's going to come back.
Right.
You're going to dream about it again in a different way, but it's going to come through. Like, don't sweat it. If you let some dreams sleep, it's fine. They'll come back in some other way.
I love that idea. We don't need to put pressure on anything to just like try to, Inspector Gadget, or like, I don't know, it gives, what's that movie with Nicolas Cage, The Treasure Hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, like just trying to like every little detail. I really like that we take the pressure off of those things. And if it is something significant, there's been several times where I've like jotted something down in my notes app on my phone, or like I will write it down if I have it available to me. But since usually, if I'm being honest with myself and everyone here, the first thing I pick up in the morning is my phone to check to see if I've overslept mostly. And, I will remember something, it'll be really, really prevalent, or I will wake up from a dream because of something that's happened in it, whether it be anxiety inducing, a nightmare that we have to face, or something really significant. Like I remember close after my paternal grandfather died, he was in a dream of mine, and it was very clear. It was very vivid. It felt extremely lucid. And so 6 o'clock in the morning, I like immediately jotted that down, because I hadn't ever really had him visit me in my dreams before, but it being so significant to like just close after his passing, I was like, okay, message received. You're good. Everyone's good. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it had a lot to do with I had just given birth to my daughter. So she was only a few weeks old when he passed. And of course, it was 2021, January. So like very heavy COVID times. And so they never got to meet, but I feel like she met a lot of people in her realm before she got to this earth.
Probably,
so I think she met him. I think she met her paternal grandfather, who passed away when I was pregnant with her. And so just a lot of like things that will happen in the form of dreams that I think when they're significant and you have the capability, write those down. But if not, it'll come back. And I love that idea.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a practice.
Right.
It's a practice. Those are visitation dreams. Yes. That's common. Yeah.
Yeah. And
we can be visited by people.
Yeah. And then of course the community aspect of it, I shared that, with my family. So coming back to the indigenous roots, coming back to the community where it's like, okay, well, he visited me. I don't know if he's visiting any of y'all, but I will let you know.
This is what they said.
But he's fine.
This is what it is. Like, he's chilling. He's great. No more pain. We're all good. So I guess along the same vein, when we talk about visitation dreams and people visiting us who we miss and are grieving a loss, that kind of coincides with this healing. So when we first reached out, we had this common idea, or this common theme that we wanted to speak on, the idea of healing versus actual holistic healing, because healing journey and I'm healing, it's hot button, right? We're hearing it a lot, but what does it mean? We don't want to take the weight from it. So how does that look in our daily lives? What does true healing look like?
Big topic, I know.
Big question.
I would say, I think the idea of healing, of course, it's linked to the idea of life. How are we going to face life? And I think that sometimes we're not facing life fully with all our capacity, because some like parts of ourselves, our own energy, it's still stuck like in trauma and other things that are happening, and in whatever is going on with the world and our communities, that takes away a bit. And I would say healing, it's a process of course, kind of healing. If there's trauma, the trauma needs to be healed. But I guess what I'm against is this idea of going back to the idea of hunting. You don't need to hunt for perfection. You don't need to hunt for ultimate healing. Everything is fine. I think it needs to be a mixture of I need to go and revisit my life, heal what needs to be healed, forgive what needs to be forgiven, and at the same time, I need to see my friends in the here and now. I need to see the people that I love. I need to give myself experiences that are fun and happy. It's this mixture between working with self and living life. And living life is opening yourself to the wonderful things that are also around. I think that holistic healing is this idea of not only kind of healing your body and your soul, but we all of us have different ideas of what a healthy body is, and we want to eat what we want to eat. Like it's not as, and we don't need to be perfect. I don't think it's more about the joy of, can you enjoy your life the way it is? Can you be honest with yourself? Can you love yourself even in imperfection and in mistakes? So I would say healing is kind of that more compassionate way of relating to yourself and to everything, and at the same time creating enough capacity to, everything is good and bad. I am good and bad. Everything is. And life is complicated and beautiful and terrifying and all of it. Kind of the accepting the truth of, this is a very wild ride. But can we be willing and ready to just go with it and see how we survive it, and thrive in it at the same time?
Right.
So I would say like healing to me is that. When I work, at least with clients that are in psychotherapy, kind of my personal goal is, be here and then go leave. Don't stay here forever. Come back if you need to, but go leave. Trust your capacities. You have them.
Right. I think that it's so great to see that as a collective there is this focus now on mental health and healing. But I think that it has become so big and all-encompassing that it tends to force us to stay there and stick in this mindset of, oh, well, my childhood trauma and I need to heal this and my past relationships and this and that. And it's like, yes, those things are very valid, but when we stay in that place, we don't have the room. I mean, from what I've experienced, I didn't have the room to go out and enjoy life because I was just always in this mindset of, I need to be better. I need to be better. I need to heal this. I need to confront this. I need to do this. And it's just felt like work. And it just felt so draining after a while because I felt like I was having to remold myself and become this machine to check it off the list so that I can come to the table my version of perfect. But it's like I'm missing out on life experiences because I'm so focused on how I'm showing up or being this idea of myself that just isn't relatable.
Yeah. I love that you use the word machine. Yeah, I do see certain people becoming this healing machine, and the journey of healing takes 20 years of your life. And
Right.
yeah, dedicate some time for therapy or community or whatever.
Yeah.
I also think that healing comes in so many ways. For some it's therapy, for some it's just friendship and love. It's a pet. Like there's so many ways in which we repair the wounds we have.
Yeah.
But the obsessive, I'm gonna heal this and heal this other thing. Yeah, I kind of feel sometimes that the more we dig, we're gonna find something always. Yes,
Yeah.
like work inside your internal work. There's always more. But I think at some point you need to be wise enough to say, okay, this is enough for now. I can now, go out, live more, relate more. Life will show you when you need to go back to this, like therapy, healing or stuff. Like life is gonna tell you, or your friends, or your partner. Somebody's gonna tell you. So don't worry, you'll know when it's time to re-engage in that way.
Yeah, it goes back to the idea of trusting your gut, trusting your intuition, knowing what's enough, knowing when you're ready to dive in a little deeper. I think her and I are kind of just getting used to that idea because coming up now almost a year that we're going to be having this podcast, there were so many conversations that happened outside of this room that were really focused on that and like, well, how can we heal and how can we be better and how can we do this? It did feel very robotic and it didn't feel very fluid. And I think the more that we've talked to so many experts, the more that we've had conversations on this podcast about how it's not linear and everyone, first of all, it's going to be very personal to you and everyone's going to make different choices and those different choices are going to fulfill certain parts of what it means to heal for that person. So I really like witnessing now when that's happening for us, whether she's going out with coworkers or like going out on dates or I'm doing something with my daughter or we're all doing something together. Like we just went to a couple of thrift stores the other day and I'm like, ugh, it's so simple. But just simple. Spending that time, I'm like, I love this. I love going out. I love taking a little drive. It was just the girls, so that always makes it more fun, you know, when you have that collective feminine energy and all of us, you know, pouring into my daughter, which is very constant. And so I really like being present and I kind of feel like I'm watching it happen in real time. And so that makes me feel like I can deep breath it out. Like I don't have to be like writing every single second and like, okay, and this is what happened and this is how I did different and this and this and this, because I can very much step right into that.
In the overdoing.
Yes. Definitely the overdoer.
Yeah. It just kind of connecting that to the dream thing. Like one of my teachers, my maestra Irma, she used to say, and with the idea that this life is also kind of dreamlike. This is also a dream we're dreaming. Like if this is a dream, why choose the nightmare? That we are also responsible of every single day creating the best experience we can for ourselves. So choosing like I'm just going to go to the restaurant and I'm going to order my favorite thing and maybe that's enough and maybe that's healing and you know and for the day that was a good day.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of tend to look at it now as like there's different levels to it and I'm going to arrive at a certain level at different times of my life. So whatever's present in my life at this moment that I need to like conquer or take a second look at, once I get through that, I beat the level. Now let me go out and enjoy, you know, this new place internally that I'm at so that I can experience the world at that level. And then, you know, maybe in my late 30s, my late 40s, there's going to be another level to be like a video game. And it's like you're saying, like life can be a dream, life can be a video game where it's like we're able to create these experiences in the life that we want. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be hardship sometimes, because there is, but allowing ourselves the space and the fun and the freedom for that creation, because the work's always going to be there. It's always going to come.
It never ends.
Right. Yeah. That's one thing that we really want to inspire our community with, is just showing up imperfectly and being authentic. So it's like we don't have it all together every single moment of the day. And it's never like an expectation from others. So why do I have to expect myself to do that?
Yeah. And always treating yourself the way you treat your best friend. Like I'm not judging everything they do. I support them. I do the same to yourself.
Right. So true.
Yes, that is definitely something that she holds me to all of the time. And I'm like, ooh, okay.
It was just 2 days ago where she was telling me a story and she said something about herself. I was like, I know you're not talking about my friend like that.
Aww.
Right.
Because I was like, hold on. Yeah. But it's good. I think we both need it, and I think that we need it at different times.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Right. And that in itself is healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that you had that perspective on it, because that's something that we talk about a lot. We think is really important to highlight. So I really enjoy your perspective on that, because it's the truth. It's like, why spend all this time healing to then just not be able to enjoy my life? Isn't that the point? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, great. We had such a great time with you. We do want to give you some room to talk about your retreat coming up. So can you let our audience know more about the retreat?
Yes. well, once, yeah, I'm hosting a retreat during April in Mexico, in Yucatan, in the jungle, and kind of, to me, it's kind of a love letter of I'm holding space in a way that I have been loved by other people, right? A retreat is not only just get out of your routine. I think there's something about stepping outside of your life that gives you the space and the pause. You're like, okay, what am I actually doing here? Here in this life with myself and with my life. And I'm kind of that's what I'm doing is opening space for that. Now, in my journey through dreams and stuff, that has taken me into kind of also exploring and working with different states of consciousness. So I've worked with indigenous communities that work with plant medicine. So there's going to be a ceremony hosted by a Mazatec woman that holds the tradition beautifully. I've been with her, like she's just pure love. Like just being around her can heal you. You know, in the ways of receiving the most loving presence that you can find. At least in my life, it felt like that. So that's what I'm doing. It's just like a 5-day retreat. She's going to do a ceremony. There's going to be a lot of sound healing too. And of course, like connecting with other women, connecting with self. I want to facilitate some of the, how to kind of map the web of your life and how you're using all your resources towards yourself and your own loving. More than growth, I would say it's just more about your own loving. So yeah, that retreat is going to happen April 23rd to 27th. If anybody wants to get more information, you can just go to my webpage and you'll find it there. My webpage is thelandofpossible.com. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. We'll definitely link everything in our show notes. When I was checking it out, I was like, wow, this looks so amazing and rooted in indigenous practices and cultures, which I think is really important to highlight, especially for that area, just because we've seen a lot of Western businesses and things come in and kind of make a destination that should have been more of like a traditional ancestral spiritual experience into a
commercial.
Thank you for into a commercialized opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, kind of the thing was creating the bridge of, can I do the thing? I could, but it's more about, let's experience it from the people that have carried these medicines for generations and they know how to relate to it and they have it all, to be honest. So like, that's the integrity of how they do it. I think it's not comparable to what we're doing over here.
Right.
Yeah. I'm so curious. You're now, I think, our second or third guest are you from the Colorado area or have you just lived there for a while?
No, I was born and raised in Mexico City, but I moved here. I moved to the U.S. like, I don't know, 13 years ago, but now I live in Colorado. Yeah. In Denver.
Yeah, so I am noticing more of a Hispanic community moving out there, or just Latina in general. So I'm really curious. I think I saw on your website, are you trying to put together something in Denver as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll do something here in Colorado too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's different options. So you can go to Mexico, you can
Exactly.
have the full experience, you can go have the
There are options.
retreat. If you want something more on like a small scale to first start out, which is something I would love to do. So if I know eventually I want to be the person to go to that place and take those 5 days. But if it's not something that you've practiced before, especially because it is plant medicine and you're integrating all these different things, starting small, going to Denver first would be something for me. I would love that. So yeah, I'm really curious if that Denver keeps coming up in our
It does,
Maybe you guys need to come.
I think we do.
I can show you around.
Awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. My aunt and my grandma, may they both rest in peace, they lived in Boulder for a long time. And I remember as a little girl getting like postcards and stuff from them.
From there?
Yeah. And my aunt was just like such this brilliant, intelligent woman. And she was doing research out there on animals. They both had parrots, Cupcake and Lorenzo.
Oh,
I know. And they were just so like, I wish I had more conversations with them about their time there. So I'm gonna put it on my vision board.
It'll be on our wish list.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Claudia. Can you let our audience know where to find you on social media?
Yeah, social media, basically the only one that I use right now is Instagram, and it's the same name as my webpage. It's The Land of Possible. But I think if you also type my name, Claudia Barfoot, you'll find me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And then for people who are interested in working with you, do they have to be in the state of Colorado, or do you work with people nationwide?
It depends on how they want to work with me. I have two different web pages. The Land of Possible, that is more my holistic healing,
Right.
and ClaudiaBarfoot.com, that is more my psychotherapy, dream
Okay.
work. Although dream work, I would say it's in the middle between the two, because it could be very much psychological or touching the spiritual world.
Right.
So I think that's kind of in the middle. So for psychotherapy, yes, you need to be in Colorado, but for my other type of work, you could be anywhere else in the world.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
That's great. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait
Thank
to
you for
put
your
all
time
of
too.
these things that we learned about dreams into practice.
Yeah,
Definitely.
let's do it.
How did you feel about our dreamy conversation with Claudia?
It was a dreamy conversation, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I love so much the energy that all of our guests bring, whether it's really high energy and really fun, or if it's just very chilled, relaxed vibrations, which is what I received from Claudia and what I respected so much about the conversation.
Yeah.
I love a calm energy because I feel like for me personally, I'm always on. I think that's just like
1,000?
yeah, I think that's just like mental health stuff. That's undiagnosed ADHD and diagnosed anxiety disorder. But I appreciated it, and I liked that we were able to talk about so many different things.
I felt transported
Yes.
to a different place.
Speaking of the gates of consciousness, I wish we could have dove into that a little bit more, but I know it was an episode that we wanted to focus mostly on dreams. But I will be visiting her website, which will be linked in the show notes. Land of Possible.
Like dream consciousness, or just like everyday
just
consciousness?
the gates of conscious. There's 9 gates of consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of delving into that a little bit more, being in kind of like my own journey of academia, if you will, especially in the field of psychology. I love talking to these people. I feel like I can gain so much on a personal level as well as on the podcast level, and being able to just share these ideas with our listeners. But I selfishly take so much from these conversations with these people, especially when we are talking about something that's been of interest to us for a long time. I mean, having a dream expert on, I think, was one of the first things we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When we were kind of in our planning stages.
Yeah, it was one of the first things that I wanted. Yeah, one of the first concepts I wanted to talk about. It's been on our list for a minute, which is really cool to see. Like in 2025, we've had a lot of things checked off the list as far as topics and dream guests and things like that. So it's cool
very
to
true.
see.
And a very early 2025. So that'll be good. When you all are listening to this, we are very much spring has sprung. But yeah, I think having her on was perfect. Like I mentioned in the episode, certain places and certain themes keep surfacing, coming to the surface. So I think it was first Pam, who I think spends some time in Denver, Pam Covarrubias. And then Denise also lives in Denver. She posted that it was snowing a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then now Claudia. And so I'm like,
All the Latinas up in the Colorados.
And the Colorados. Yeah, so it's something to explore for sure. But do you have any specific takeaways? What was your favorite part?
Yeah, I really loved this concept of not assigning meaning when a person or thing pops into your dream. Like I've said, I've always had this weird dream ability. I don't know if it's necessarily like psychic or if I just am very open in my dreams. So like people come to me a lot in dreams. I get a lot of messages in dreams, warnings, and I always think it's something having to do with this person. So like, for example, an ex-person that I dated, right? I'll have dreams about him and then he'll text me, things like that. It's like, is it a warning, or is it like oh, watch out because this person, or is it like, am I assigning too much meaning to him being in my dream? Do I need to start looking more inward about my dreams and thinking, what about this person as part of my shadow?
Yeah, that was a big part of it. Was like, oh, speaking of gates of consciousness, like that opened up a whole different perspective that I think that I've never even really taken before. It's always just taking it kind of like face value.
Right.
Like, oh, it's this person visiting me. It must be this person having a message for me, or I need to pay closer attention to this person instead of it being.
This person must be thinking about me or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of it being more of a message about myself. Why is this person visiting me? What happened in the dream? What did the person say or do? Was it nothing? You know, what was the interaction to where now I have to think to myself, what is that saying about me rather than this person just coming to see me? Yeah. So that was kind of a shift, which I appreciated.
For sure.
A lot. And yeah, I think.
Yeah, just all of it. I find psychology so fascinating.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the brain does crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And so this idea of like the parts of your brain and certain parts of your brain being responsible for different functions and things like that. Yes, we have a lot of information on that, but I think that the more we have these conversations with experts like Claudia who have tapped into both sides and are honoring the indigenous parts of what has been practiced for centuries from different people and different groups around the world, I think that we're going to have just so much more information in academic journals that are clinically based in science, in truth. And so I love that that's going to be honored in academia, because I just don't think that, we don't have a lot of those things. I can't go onto a psychological journal and find as many articles on indigenous practices than I could with, like, you know, cognitive therapy, or, you know, how the brain functions when this is happening, or traumatic injuries to the brain, things like that. Yeah. So I love that that's becoming more of a thing. And I appreciate Claudia for dedicating so much of her life to this practice. And that's really it. That's all I have to say.
Right.
We hope you really enjoyed, because I feel like I'm still kind of.
Right. A big goal for this year for me, and I put it on my vision board to remind me, is connecting to things that, doing inner child work, I guess, to make it more succinct. Mm-hmm. Connecting to things that my younger self loved or had a deeper connection to. And my younger self had a deep connection to her dreams. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's definitely something I want to prioritize more this year. Is I bought a dream journal when we went to Julian. That was like over a year ago, and I have yet to write a single thing down in it. So
open it up.
Yeah, wanting to connect to that a lot more this year. So I think that a lot of the themes and topics and stuff that when we sit down and we plan for the podcast, we both kind of come together like, okay, what are things you want to talk about? What are things I want to talk about? Okay, like, who should we reach out to? Mm-hmm. Who are BIPOC women doing the work that can speak about these things on our podcast? And I think a lot of the topics that I really prioritize wanting to talk about this year are things that are having to do with my inner child. So excited about that. I kind of had a full circle realization during a conversation with her. I'm like, oh, this kind of fits into like the things that I'm trying to work on or focus on this year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the episode this week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for growing with us and allowing us to grow at the pace that is needed for us right now. Mm-hmm. We see everybody. We're very, very appreciative of everybody who leaves a comment, reaches out, gives a follow, shares things with their friends or family members. Yeah, we're really, really grateful to be at the place that we're at not even a year in. So thank you guys. You guys give me all the warm fuzzies, and I'm always thinking about how I can show up better and how we can show up and deliver great podcast episodes and content and create a community that is mutually beneficial for all of us.
Right. As we've said from the beginning, chat to me. I do love that. Mm-hmm. The shout outs. I think for me personally, I can let it overwhelm me and think, okay, more eyes, more people watching me. I have to be very careful about what I say and do. But that wasn't the intention when we set out to do this. Similarly to what we spoke to Claudia about, is I'm trying to step into this idea or this feeling of being confidently imperfect. and basically showing that I'm okay with that and that I'm still figuring it out just like the rest of us are. And I don't ever want to get to this place where just because I feel like there's more eyes on us that I have to like perform to a certain level, because it's literally what I'm trying to get out of. So
Right.
super, super grateful and loving that it's real, genuine, sincere people who are wanting to be a part of the conversations that we're having with our guests. So thank you times a million.
Yeah. And of course, because we're co-creating with you, we do want to know the things that you guys want to hear on the podcast as well. So you're always welcome to share that feedback with us. We don't want everything to be all about us. So let us know if there's something you want us to talk about and we'll put it on the roster.
Especially if it's like, don't feel shy if it's something that someone else has talked about 1,000 times over.
Right.
We're always going to try to do it from a different lens, obviously from a BIPOC lens, obviously from a lens being two women of color in their 30s. There's different ways to talk about different things. So if it's something that like 1,000 other podcast hosts have done, that's totally fine.
Right.
Please submit the idea and
Right.
we'll
put our different...
We'll put a lemon twist on it.
Yeah. It'll be always through the lens of being an empath, being a highly sensitive person, a person of color, a healer, an eldest daughter, all the above. Check the boxes.
Yeah. Check your box.
Yeah. How is your box doing? Is it women's
It is. That
month?
was last month. March was International Women's Month.
Sure.
What is April? Earth Day?
I think Earth Day is in April.
Earth Day's in April. Easter.
Anyway, if you made it to the end of the episode, please comment with a cloud. And we will see you on the other side.
Toodles.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's EA meeting.
If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify. We'd love to hear from you.
You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Empaths and On Pod.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts or subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell so you're the first to know when we release a new episode.
We'll meet you back here on the Green Velvet Couch next time.
Bye, feelers!